Okay, I'm going to give you a tutorial on lessons 5, 6, and 7 from chapter 4 of our SketchUp book. First thing we're going to do for this lesson is create a house with a peaked dormer. And that's just simply create the base of your house here. We're going to add some windows to the front of it. Using my offset tool, we'll create a frame. We'll erase the middle of our window. Now to make a copy of this, I'm just going to double click right in here, this inside frame part, which selects the whole frame. Go to my move key, Control to give my plus symbol in the bottom right corner. I'll click at this endpoint, and I'm going to drag. Make sure you're on the red axis here, and we're on face clicking. This gives me two windows. Now, on the top part, I'm going to take my selection tool, select the top of my house, use my offset tool, and create an overhang to my house. From this point, I'm going to raise up this outside section just a little bit. I'll double click the middle part here to raise this up to the same level. Now at this point, what I want to do is erase these four lines, and I also am going to say erase the top of my roof here. And the reason for that is because I have these little lines that held up that other part of my roof, and I have to erase these in order for everything to line up. We just don't need that geometry when we're creating our houses. Okay, now to fill this back in, just go back to my rectangle tool, click one point and drag it over, and there we go. Alright, now for the peaked dormer. Find the midpoint, drag it across to the other midpoint, use my move key, and with this thing selected, we just click and we drag up on the blue line, and there we go. There's lesson number 5 all done. Now for lesson number 6, we're going to add a little windowsill up top here. So we're going to start with our pencil tool. We're going to hover over this endpoint right here, and then we're going to click with our up arrow key, and we start to drag up, and we'll notice as we drag up we get this dotted blue line right here. Alright, and you should, when we hover this over this line right here, you should get a constrained on the roof line here. So don't click anything until you actually see it says constrained on line intersect planes. Alright, and right there it is. Alright, now that's where we want to click, and we're going to drag it over, alright, to our left. We want to hover over this section right here, this endpoint. And when we do that, you should get two dotted blue lines. Now we can click. Okay, this line is right where we want it. It's the same width as our window. We're going to drag up. Now it's very important. We don't want to drag up too high. Alright, just a little bit on the blue axis. Make sure you're on the blue axis. We're going to start to go at an angle, but before we can do that, we have to find the midpoint. So here's the midpoint, and I'll start to drag up. Right, again, you can't go too high, can't go above that line right there. So right about there looks good. Alright, and now from here, how far down do you want to go? Well, that again depends on your endpoint here. Dragging up, and you should see that dotted blue line again. Alright, you should also see an inference from that. So we should get a dotted blue and a dotted red line. Click, drag down, click. There we go. Now the next thing I need to do, start here on the endpoint, and we're going to go back on the green axis until it says on face, but it has to be green. Now sometimes what you can do is you can click the shift button or the arrow key. You can do the same thing. All right, depending on your skill level. But we need to be green, and it needs to say on face. So we click. All right. We're going to do the same thing from this angle right here, this endpoint, on green axis, and we want it to say on face. So we click, and now we simply connect our lines. We'll do the same thing to this side. Over here, it's going to say on face. So I click, connect, connect. Last thing to end this lesson is to add a windowsill. For this, you don't have to have a whole lot for the windowsill here, but you could cut it however you want here. You could hold your shift key again, so that you can get it lined up with this if you really wanted to, or you can just simply make it a different size. So right there. We need to erase the middle section. There we go. All right, and the very last thing we're going to do is then erase the roof part here so we can see through. There we go. And that ends lesson number 6. The very last thing is copying and pasting, because we need to add it over here, and we need to add it in the back. So this is where it can get a little tricky for some of you. But we need to make sure we're just going to select it like that. Okay, when you select it, make sure nothing else is selected on the back side or anything like that, because when you make a copy, it will go with you. So here, I'll take my move key, I'll hit the control key, I'm going to start to drag it over to the right on the red axis. I'm also going to line it up down here with this endpoint. So again, you should see, I zoom in here, red and blue dotted lines. Click, and there we go. Made an exact copy of it, already ready to go. All right, now, the next section here, the book is going to tell you a different way to do this. I'm going to show you the way I've done it. Now, just like in most of our stuff, SketchUp, you can do things 5 or 6 different ways. But from this, I already have this one selected, so I'm going to start here. All right, and I'm just going to make a copy, hitting my control key. And I'm going to start here at this endpoint and drag it over. Now, make sure it's green. All right, we see it's green. I'm going to click. All right, I'm going to go to my tools and go to scale, which is S. And I'll take this middle dot right here, and I'm going to bring it back towards the house. All right, we want a -1 scale, so we go -1 on our keyboard, and we hit enter. This makes sure it's the exact same size as the previous one. Go back to my move key, and now we're just looking to move from this endpoint back on the green axis. And it's kind of tough to tell when it's blue, but it'll say on green axis, and you move it all the way back until it says on face. Right there. Okay? Perfect. All right. And from that point, we have to right-click. We're going to say intersect faces with model. When we do that, we should be able to erase the middle section right here, if we've done everything correctly. If not, then we have to repeat those steps and try again. All right. So again, this is where it gets a little tricky for people, but you'll do the same thing on this side over here too. So Right now, as I've selected it, we can see that the whole thing is selected. We don't want that. We just want this inside here selected. So there could be a number of reasons for that. You might not be all the way on the face. You might have missed a step somewhere along the lines. So again, repeating what we did. Look at the book if you have to, but that is the way to get this chapter done. Now, if you really want to be real efficient, select both of these at the same time. Go to your move key, hit your control key for a copy, drag it across on the green axis here. Scale it. Again, we go to that middle button here. We're going to go -1. Hit enter. Move it from this endpoint. All right, make sure we say on face. And again, it should be, it's tough to say, but make sure it is green on face. So it takes a little bit of, there we go, on face. I believe that's green. And we say intersect faces with model. And there you go. You're good to go. All right. Good luck. So to end lesson 7, if you've done this correctly and you've intersected it correctly with the face, you should be able to click the inside of your window and erase. But if you're having trouble, it means most likely you maybe didn't get it up on the face the right way. Anyway, either way you do it, you just have to make sure that you are following the steps from the book or from this video. Again, guys, good luck, and please let me know if you have any questions.